thing I've ever been privileged to witness. Mayhem. It is bedlam.
This is the Boxing Talk and Old Time Boxing Show on UStream, presented by GAR1680. Here is your host, Paco Rivera.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Boxing Talk and Old Time Boxing Show on UStream. This show is brought to you by Golden Age Radio, GAR1680 AM. The phone lines will be open during the show, so call in anytime to offer your comments or opinions. The number is 605-215-1680. ESPN2's Friday Night Fights last week featured 2 of 3 fights that may be worth talking about. In the undercard lightweight bout, Ji-Hoon Kim defeated Jacobu Amidou, and in the main event, welterweight Ruslan Provodnikov scored a TKO over David Torres in the 6th round. I won't get into too much detail about any of the individual fighters. None are highly ranked, and it may be too early to know how any will be faring in the near future based on what we saw this past Friday. I will, however, say something about the fights. The Kim-Amidou fight was a slugfest for 10 rounds that brought the attending fans to their feet when the final bell sounded. Both fighters were given a standing ovation for one hell of a battle. In the end, Kim did get a unanimous decision. The main event was a different story. It was a total mismatch. The Washington native Torres, in a fight that took place in Spokane, Washington, was a bad choice for Provodnikov. It was a shutout for 6 rounds that ended with a knockout. It was pitiful, and hopefully ESPN will do a better job in the future of pairing fighters. The network apparently had some extra time to kill, so they brought in 2 heavyweights, one of them a guy about 7 feet tall, who knocked out the other guy in the first round. And that's all I'll have to say about that.
This is the Boxing Talk Show on GAR1680.
It looks like the rematch of 2011's Fight of the Year between Andre Berto and Victor Ortiz is canceled. That fight was scheduled for February 11th on Showtime. Berto suffered an injury to his arm, and according to reports, it will need surgery. I know a lot of people wanted to see this fight again, but I wonder why there hasn't been a lot more done about Ortiz's intentional and flagrant attempts at headbutting Floyd Mayweather in their fight back in September. Didn't anyone else see that? To me, he looked like a bull attacking a big red flag, and he was shooting straight for Mayweather's head. I know Ortiz has admitted his guilt and has apologized, but I was totally disgusted by it. I think there should have been at least a long suspension. Speaking of Mayweather and adding Manny Pacquiao to the fray, I have a proposal for all ranking organizations presenting a pound-for-pound listing. I say that if middleweight champion Sergio Martinez puts on another one of his incredible performances against the Irishman Matthew Macklin on March 17th, that he should be propelled from his number 3 spot as the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world to the number 1 spot, above Pacquiao and Mayweather. I think this is fair. Think about it. A lot of people believe Juan Manuel Marquez defeated the Pac-Man a few months ago. One of the 3 judges called it a draw. That should mean a slight drop in points on that pound-for-pound list, right? And listen to this. Floyd Mayweather had 1 fight in 2011 with the headbutting Victor Ortiz. He had 1 fight in 2010 with Sugar Shane Mosley, who is likely near the end of his career. Mayweather had just 1 fight in 2009, and he did not fight in 2008. 4 years, 3 fights. So where does he really belong on the pound-for-pound list right now? Until we see a little more Mayweather, I would think he doesn't deserve to be number 1 or 2. Not at this point. Am I making my case or what? I say if Sergio Martinez puts on even a decent performance against Macklin, he's number 1 on that list. So let's get the word out. What do you think? By the way, I'm not offering this proposal as a protest just because fight fans are sick about the Mayweather and Pacquiao not fighting debacle. Even though a modification of the pound-for-pound ranking out of protest is not a bad idea. I really do think, however, that Martinez should be number 1 on that list. Phone lines are open. Call with your comment or opinion. The number is 605-215-1680. You can also find us on our Facebook site, Golden Age Radio 1680. Just follow the link from our homepage, gar1680.webs.com. We are also on Twitter, and you can follow us there at GAR1680. Or you can share your thoughts on the chat panel right here on this UStream site.
This is the Boxing Talk and Old Time Boxing Show on UStream, presented by GAR1680.
We may have lost the Victor Ortiz-Andre Berto fight, but we have what looks like some good marquee matchups headed our way. I'm going to talk about what should be some of the better fights coming up during the month of February. This coming Sunday, you have the Super Bowl. The night before, on Saturday, February 4th, you've got Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. taking on Marco Antonio Rubio on HBO for Chavez's WBC middleweight title. On the same telecast, Nonito Donaire meets Wilfredo Vasquez Jr. So it almost seems like HBO is offering 2 main events on that night. 2 weeks later, on February 18th, heavyweight champion Vitaly Klitschko fights David Chisora in Germany, if that fight interests anyone. In what might be a better show on that same day, IBF light heavyweight champion Tavoris Cloud faces Gabriel Campillo on Showtime. Again, that's on February 18th. A week later, on February 25th, welterweights Marcos Maidana and Devin Alexander, who were both junior welterweights, will have stepped up in weight and meet in the ring as welterweights.
You are listening to Golden Age Radio on 1680 AM in Concord, North Carolina. Please visit us on the web at gar1680.webs.com.
For those of you that would like to stick around and continue chatting about boxing with each other here on the UStream chat panel, there will be a great old-time boxing event that will be streamed here for you. For your viewing pleasure, we have a collage of Jake LaMotta fights. Just a few rounds, the deciding rounds for each fight will be shown. Something I found interesting was a fighter named Gene Hairston from the third of LaMotta's fights that will be seen here. Hairston was a deaf mute. He could not hear or speak, but as the boxing broadcaster stated during the blow-by-blow coverage, it was not a handicap for him during his boxing career. In one fight against LaMotta, they fought to a draw. Gene Hairston had to have lights flashing from the ring's corners to signal the end of a round. I am Paco Rivera. See you next week.
Jake LaMotta challenges French idol Marcel Cerdan for the World Middleweight Championship. Detroit, 16th of June, 1949.
We pick up the action here in round 5. Jake LaMotta in dark trunks with a white waistband is the #1 challenger in the division. He is 5 feet 8 and weighed in at an even 100.